Little tweaks and giant wins. Consistently, time and time again. I've been working on me, making little tweaks. I'm on a winning streak, making little tweaks 1 inch at a time. Create giant wins, I know it because I'm living my best life, living better than good. Welcome to the podcast with Jill Underwood. This is another episode of Little Tweaks and Giant Wins.
Sean Zalmanoff, my friend, how are you today?
I am good.
What's Thanks up in St. Louis?
Yes. I mean, how fortunate is it that the best first and second best barbecue in the world is just at opposite ends of the same state?
Those Texans really think they got us on that barbecue thing, but I don't think they do.
They don't even know what barbecue is down there.
Well, thank you, Sean, so much for being here. It is such a pleasure. I really appreciate your time with me today. If you don't mind, tell everybody just a teeny bit about you. And we already determined that you're from St. Louis and I live on the other end of Missouri. So,
and as far as the first and second barbecue, it's debatable. It goes back depending on what restaurant you're at. I mean, they're just, and I will just say Kansas City per capita definitely has better barbecue restaurants overall, but there's a couple here that could be number one.
Comparison. Okay, well, next time I'm in St. Louis, we will have to go eat barbecue.
Yeah. So my name's Sean Zalmanoff. I have, in a couple of days here, I'm gonna have my 20-year mark in the mortgage industry. I have been running. Well, I've been worked at USA Mortgage for the last 12 or 13 years now, 12 years now. And I now run a pretty large region that we close a few loans a month. And in addition to that, I have been blessed and honored to work with some great friends. And 4 years ago, we founded a coaching business, Next Level Loan Officers. And that's how you and I met, Jill. And so it's been a great ride. I get to work with some amazing ops people and salespeople in my day job with the mortgage business. And in my other day job, I get to work with a bunch of people who, it's fun, who pay us to have us tell them to do the things that I can't get my loan officers to do for free when I try to give it to them. It's always interesting how that works in the world.
Isn't that fascinating? I hear you. So did you just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to be in the mortgage business today? How did that come to be for you?
So you got to go back here to 2001. And so I graduated college in the winter of 00. I had the super senior semester and took 4.5 years to get out of school. And so I worked at an amazing restaurant in Columbia, Missouri. And all my friends that were coming back during football season for games were like, it sucks. Just stay in Columbia forever. Like, don't ever leave this place because the real world is terrible. And so for the next 9 or so months, I became a professional job interviewer. And that's up to like 70 some odd jobs.
No.
So I made as much or more money. Now, I was capped, but I made as much or more money managing and bartending than at Willie's, if anybody knows about Willie's in Columbia, Missouri, than any of my friends were making in the regular jobs. And I usually took a couple months off in the summer and traveled and saw music and did whatever I wanted. So like my life was good. But so 9/11 happens during my professional job interviewing year. And it was, so we were closed that week. And as soon as we came back and opened the door, like there was like business just wasn't there. And it was amazing. It wasn't trickle down economics. It was faucet on economics, faucet off economics. All these kids weren't spending money anymore. And so I was like, damn, I think it's time to grow up and go get a job. And there's a gentleman who came into the bar all the time who tried to get me to work for his company. And I was like, finally, I was like, okay, I'm going to consider this, but I can't. I need to do this outside of Columbia. They had an office in O'Fallon, Missouri, a little suburb of St. Louis. And I started in the mortgage industry there. They taught me every single thing that was wrong with the business, so much so
Oh.
that for a time, I got together with some buddies and I was going to start a consulting company where people just like came to me and I reviewed GFEs. This is back in the day when we had good faith estimates for loan officers listening that don't know what that is. So you can Google it. It's in a history book somewhere. And I was just going to consult them on, like, yeah, these people suck. And then I all of a sudden really found out that there were companies better than Boiler Room that I could work at. And, 20 years later, I'm here talking to you.
I love it. That's a great story. So, random, if you could change one thing about our industry, the mortgage industry, what would it be?
If I could change one thing about the mortgage industry,
I've got a list of about 25.
I mean, quite frankly, I've not only enjoyed, but I've quite prospered from the changes that have happened in the mortgage industry over the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
There is, I think, so I have offices stretching from Missouri to Maine right now.
Mm.
And, there in some of our, I don't even want to say rural, but some of our just less populated areas, there are appraisers that operate with a very big scarcity mindset. They are on the brink of retirement. They don't want to train the next class of upcoming appraisers, or they're going to be doing it for 10 more years. And there is just like sometimes it takes 45 days and $2,000 to get an appraisal on a $150,000 house in some of those areas. So I wish there was something to fix that. But, I guess if there's actually really one thing that I could change when I talk about scarcity mindset with appraisers, I think I would really do that to the industry and us salespeople as a whole. Because, the number one thing that continues to come for us is financial technology firms. And
right.
they think realtors make too much money. They think loan officers make too much money on a transaction. Zillow thought they could do so many things better that, they started a property flipping business that has since closed recently and cut their stock price by more than in half with that falling through. And so, there's some things that, technology just can't do better. And I wish that as loan officers, we talk about a next level all the time, and it's a great family and we share, and it doesn't matter if we're neighbors to each other or if we're 10 states away from each other. I wish even those of us that were neighbors and worked at competing firms down the street from each other would realize that the more that we perpetuate each other's success and the more that we help each other, the more our industry still exists for us in 10 years. And it's not completely replaced by technology where someone just presses a button on their phone. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing that people would really understand who their competition is. Yeah, that guy down the street who you work with, the same agent. Well, we are competition, but that's the more we fight with each other, the more the other guys win. It's kind of like our government,
Oh, I'll tell people if I'm in competition with somebody, because we all know, I contend that everybody who talks to me is talking to at least two other loan officers, and generally they are. I had one just this week that I knew both of the other loan officers. We've worked together. We go way back, and you know what? And they're good loan officers. And I just tell them that, oh, Kim, she's really good. She'll get the deal done, and so we have to give each other kudos and lock arms and, hold hands against some of the people that think that we should not be doing this. But like you, I contend that no matter what, there is still a level of personalities involved in these transactions. There's a lot of emotions riding, and you can't monitor those emotions on a cell phone. There has to be conversation. So I agree.
What are some other things that you change? Curious what you think here.
Okay, here's my big one. A lot of my clients are self-employed people, and as business owners, you have a lot of different companies and you take from this one and then it goes into the main one. And if you have a really good accountant, you have really, really good tax returns. And oftentimes in our underwriting guidelines, as set out by Fannie and Freddie, you cannot pull the income. So you've got somebody who makes $6.9 million a year in gross revenues, and there's no income to pull from that, even though it's a valid tax return with all correct numbers. He's paying his taxes. I would change that. I would change it to where there are different standards and guidelines so that somebody who creates millions of dollars a year in revenue and creates jobs for people, that their tax returns are looked at in a different way, especially when you've got, hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash and an 800 credit score.
Yes. I was rucking with a guy this morning, and they build all kinds of machine equipment for people. And we were talking about taxes, the time of the year that it's in right now. And he's like, I pay about 3% in taxes. And I was just like, how? What? And so because they do so much project management and so much building, they have this research and R&D tax credit that they use. And he's like, it wipes out nearly 80% of every dollar that we make because so much falls into that bucket. And I was like, please don't ever call me to do a loan for you.
But here's the deal too. Maybe the corporation isn't paying a lot to the Fed in taxes, but they're also paying payroll taxes and Social Security for their employees, and they're paying a lot on behalf of the employees. So I don't know.
There's 15 people that they employ right here in St. Louis. Yeah.
Right. Yes. You're creating jobs and you're helping to pay their payroll taxes. And so, self-employed business people that are super smart and really know how to structure the companies, I think that we need to give them, a little bit of a break. I really do. But that's me. But okay, so talk to me about, there's a buzzword in our society today about culture. Mm-hmm. I think that there are, and I work for a company that has an amazing culture. What does culture mean to you?
Culture means is what your employees, the people you work with, your teammates, what they would say about you in the most unbiased, unfiltered setting of how the people that they work with, whether it's their loan officer or their manager, and how they interact with them on a daily basis. And the other way that I would describe culture is one of our amazing, I call her our Jose Oquendo, which it dates me, and it's like almost nobody knows what I'm talking about anymore. But Jose Oquendo was the utility player of utility players for the Cardinals back in the 80s before there were utility players. Yeah, and so she does a ton of stuff for us. Her name happens to be Jill also.
What a pretty name.
And so I remember it was around her first anniversary, and she made a post on Facebook, and it was like something just completely warmed my heart. And she said, I'm just about wrapping up my first year with a new company. And, it's Sunday night, and I'm so excited. Like, I get to work with people that I love every day. And, my old company, I used to have so much anxiety, and Sunday night sucked because I dreaded Monday so much. And now I look forward to my Mondays, and my Sundays are better. And so when you have people that say those things, I think that's the most important is again, what they would say in an unbiased setting, that their job didn't depend on it and would never get back to somebody else, how they would describe it.
Outstanding. So you've created that in your companies, right?
I mean, I think that we do a pretty good job, and people tell me that to my face. They stay for a long time. So in a high turnover industry, I believe that's what we've created. One of the things that, we talk about here is nobody works for anybody. Everybody works with everybody. Mm-hmm. And so to the point that we correct, at least myself and my ops manager will correct somebody when they say that they work for us, because, it's always whoever touches the client is who we work for. And I mean, number one, it's the originators that bring the business in the door. And then number two, it's processors and loan partners because they handle most of the transaction once the business is in the door. And you can have the best of everything else in the world behind that, but if you don't have the business and or can't close it once it's in the door, you've got the best of nothing.
So where did you get these leadership skills? Where did you learn all of this? Or is it something that you just have, or is it learned? Is it a skill or just a talent?
I think some people are people, and some people aren't people. So a little bit of it is definitely ingrained in me. But I mean, you've got to fail a whole lot of times, and you always have to learn from your mistakes when you do fail. And you always have to continue to fail. There's an article in Forbes, I don't know, it was 5 or 6 years ago. And, I guess we've still been very militarily involved for a while, but it was talking about businesses and, large corporations like Walmart, for instance, was one of the ones they cited that was actively going into the military and trying to pull men and women out who were in for like 10 years. If anybody doesn't know, after 20 years, you're eligible for retirement inside of the military. And so that most of the time somebody's in there for 10 years, they were a lifer and probably going to stay for another 10 to get their pension. And so they were trying to yank these people out to come work for their companies because there was so many people that they had hired that just tried to keep the status quo. And the reason they wanted people that were in the military is because they've had to make so many tough decisions over the last few decades that they wanted somebody who was like, hey, it's okay to make 3 wrong decisions to go to make your right decision. And so, I think that you constantly have to be failing. And even like it makes me think about, it was actually almost this exact time last year. I was talking to one of our loan officers who had been here for a couple years. And at this time last year, where appraisals are an issue, underwriting's an issue, everything's like just taking forever.
Yeah, last year was tough. And
so I was talking to her on my way to the airport because I was going to the Dallas Next Level event. And she tells me, she's like, well, let me tell you how we used to do it at our old company. And didn't let her finish. And I was like, I don't care how you used to do it at your old company. We've never had this much business. We've never been sucking this many watermelons through a straw. It just doesn't matter how you used to do it at your old company. And I was wrong. And so it bothered me what I said to her, and our conversation, she didn't want to talk to me for some reason for much longer after that. But I called her back and was like, hey, I didn't hear you, or I heard you, but I didn't listen to you. And she was like, my point wasn't that, I know these are different times. I just wanted to make a suggestion of, how things used to be. And so I think that realizing when you make those mistakes and then really just being good, you just got to clean up your messes. And, if you're not making any messes, you're not trying hard enough.
Wow. So who coaches you? Do you have a mentor?
I've had quite a few mentors over the last decade. And so, I've had some that I've consulted with for 3 months. I've had some I've worked with for a couple of years, and it really just, it's dependent on what I needed at the time. Sometimes right now, this past year, I haven't had a direct coach, but I've spent more time reading. I went and, I've reread Atomic Habits a couple of times, James Clear. Andy Andrews is probably my favorite author right now. He's written, if you try to categorize him, probably part philosopher, part business, he's definitely a man of deep faith. And there's not really a good category to place him in, but he writes a lot of books on perspective. The 2 favorite series that I read of his are The Noticer and The Traveler's Gift. And so I spend I try to spend as much time reading to incorporate things. I think Shane, one of the fellow Next Level founders, it was actually a really nice comment that he's probably the only nice comment he's ever given me, which says something as well too. But he just said that like I'm really good at incorporating things that I experience or see into being a part of me. And so that's whether it's learning from a failure or just having a really great perspective from a book that I read about being able to communicate that to the teams that I get to lead.
I love that because, they do say leaders are readers. And so you are the epitome of that.
Well, it's funny because if you hear, somebody talks about Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Elon Musk, all of these guys, they spend, I don't spend hours a day. I wish I'd be better if I did, but they spend hours a day reading books.
Interesting. I love that. So has there been, in your success that you've had, what's been like the most amazing thing in your successful environment that you've created?
So my boys are 5 and 7, almost 6 and 8.
Oh, great ages.
And I'm home. They get off the bus at it's supposed to be 3:46, but it's closer to 4 by the time the bus gets there. I'm at the bus stop almost every single morning when they get on the bus, and I'm there to pick them up with my wife almost every single day when they get off the bus. And like if there's the single most amazing thing that I've created, that I get to be a huge part of their life. We get to play together all the time. This industry has provided a lot of great things for me. And so we get to do a lot of cool stuff together, but I get to really be there and invest time being their dad.
Can we just hover that point for a minute?
Yeah.
I want everybody to hear that way in the back of the room. You get to be their dad and be there every day. And I think that is, there's so many industries, not just the mortgage industry, that we work and we work and we grind and we grind and we work way too many hours, and then we're off balance. And I know a lot of people don't agree with a balanced life, but that's the word that I use, because like you, I want to be home for dinner with my man every night, right? That's important to me. And I want to make sure that he and I get to go on vacations together and that we have our time together every night. And if you're grinding and off balance and don't have the right team behind you, it's so easy to lose that perspective. And I know I have, over the course of my career, there's been many a time where I've just been, working too much and not playing enough. And I contend that this career is probably part of the reason for my big divorce, because I don't think I was paying enough attention to him. And, you do that over, a couple of years, and then pow, the money doesn't matter if there's nobody to snuggle with in bed at night, right?
100%. It takes a big person to be able to say that and admit, that could have had a big factor in doing that. Yeah. And as far as the balance goes, it's like you, I put in crazy hours. In my 20s and through most of them, I'm 43. So, I had my first kid when I was 37, and I was working pretty much 60, 70 hours a week until I was a couple of weeks before my kid was born. And I made a actually really key hire. My right-hand woman that I hired, Austin came a few weeks early. So we were supposed to train for a month, and we trained for a few days. And then I was like, all right, bye. And that was somebody that I should have brought on sooner. And she's amazing and still with me. And, helps with so many things in my life. But that was incredibly key for me to have the freedom that I needed and that I wanted to be there with the boys.
I think that over the course of time, we've learned how to do this business better. We've learned as companies that it does take a village. You can't just do a lot of loans and help a lot of families with the American dream. I still contend it's the American dream. You can't just do that by yourself. There's a lot of components, and it takes a lot of people working together to get to that end result. So that's so cool that you found that too, because those boys need their daddy. There ain't no doubt.
I need them.
Right?
Yeah.
I love that. So tell me something that you're totally passionate about right now. What is happening in your life that you are like, wow, that is so cool?
Business, personal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both. So we've got a camper that we bought during the height of lockdowns, and spent a month between Maine and Cape Cod.
Oh, wow.
Almost a year and a half ago now, before school, they let kids back in school. And so we love to get out and do that. We're planning a pool in the backyard. And yes,
Oh, wow.
we're really building a pool in the backyard. Just in case you're listening, she keeps thinking we're not going to do this, but we are. And I want to have the house where my even when I'm not cool anymore, like the house is cool and the kids want to hang out there. And so this is my mission to do that. So we're in the design phases of all that right now.
Okay, that's very cool.
So those are the things in the personal world that I'm excited about. And as far as the business world goes, the region I run, we doubled in January of 19, so almost exactly 2 years ago. Basically on January 1st, we doubled, we became 2.5 times bigger.
Wow.
And so we 2019 was an amazing year. 2020, we grew. Or 2020, the volume just went off the chain. And then through 2021 here, we've refined a lot of processes and gotten a ton better. We've grown a little bit, but we've gotten a ton better about what we do. And one of the things, like we talking about this phone and fintech, and one of the things that I firmly believe, like, technology is still our friend. People we talk about like it's a bad thing. Like, we need it, and it's going to make our lives easier. And in 5 or 10 years, loan officers will be able to do twice the volume and close and work the same amount of hours that we're doing with technology. And I firmly believe that technology is not going to replace loan officers, but loan officers that embrace technology will replace those that don't. And in order to do that, we spent a lot of time in 2021. We had to get 2 years better in 2021 because we didn't get better in 2020. We just held on white knuckles and got through the year.
We just held on for the wild ride. Yes,
yeah.
We did.
And so now with 2021, there's some growth that's happening. With 2022, there's some growth that's happening in the region again. And then I have also started the wholesale side for our company. And so we're starting to do that to help brokers. And, let's just call it what it is. I don't have any intention of competing with the UWMs and the business that they do of the world. But, one of the great things about working for a mortgage bank like we do, Jill, is the same underwriters that underwrite our 780 loans are the same underwriters that underwrite our 600 FHA loans. Mm-hmm. And from what I see in the broker world, their choices on those lesser credit score Govy loans, like, they just get run through the mill on those. And so I've carved out a niche of doing those lower FICO score Govy loans that I'm bringing to the broker world. Give UWM the 740 loan that's going to close in 3 days. I'm not going to do that. I'm not set up to do that. But I want to provide for them the service at which they're getting there at the same or a better service, and be able to close loans that they're either struggling through or just saying, you know what, I don't want to do those loans because they're just a pain in the butt and everybody I have to do them sucks at them. So that's what I'm really excited about on the business channel right now.
That is very exciting. Good for you. Good for you. I love it.
What about you? What do you have working?
Now, this podcast isn't about me. It's about you. Okay, so but I will share. I have been just growing slowly. And so I'm better now than I was the year before, than I was the year before that. So that's always good. I've got a really good team in place and I've got really big goals. And I will say my big thing right now is events. In 2020, pre-COVID, that was my theme for 2020 was events. And we all know how that turned out. There wasn't one single event that happened. And of course, then we had to learn how to do Zoom. So this year, starting with my big party that I'm having on December 15th, I'm having a client and realtor and business, just everybody appreciation party, right? It's not just for clients or just for realtors or just for my people who, refer business back and forth with me. It's like everybody. I just want to invite everybody I know. Just come and see me. Let's have a beer or a glass of wine. Santa's coming. And so I'm very thrilled about that. And I've got some really good ideas because I just want to help the people. That's what I'm here on earth to do, is to help the people with, their dreams of owning a home and their real estate agents, that make their living putting people in homes. So yeah, I just want to get a little bit better every day. And I want to get better with my actions that matter. And we call them the ATMs. Mm-hmm. And that's really what I'm focused on, just getting better so I can serve more people.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So let's wrap up with this. Tell everyone, and it doesn't matter if they're in, mortgage or whatever industry, as a leader, you, Sean, as a leader, as a manager, as a business owner, as a business developer, what advice would you give or do you give to those that you serve?
So, I can talk specific from the mortgage business because, if you're in sales, like most sales jobs aren't that hard. I always compare us to rocket scientists. If the rocket scientists in World War II would have known what they were doing when they were shooting missiles, we'd live in a different world right now because they would have adjusted for wind and shear and all the other things that made those rockets not destroy downtown London. That would have changed our world. And yet we make everything that we do so complicated. And so, like we were talking, you brought up the ATMs. And the ATM's actions that matter, it's about picking 4 or 5 things that you do every week, week in and week out. And we run them for a season. And then, as our seasons are 90 days long.
Yep.
And so it's picking those things. And, because most of us in the sales world are not near as proactive as we should be. And so if you take those 4 or 5 things and you spend 10 hours a week doing those, and you do them religiously for 90 days. And then at the end of that 90-day period, what I usually see that happens, that it does with me, is one of those things is like totally ingrained in me. It's not even an ATM. It's just like part of me that I'm doing. Let's say if I was doing 5 of them, 2 of them, I did it, not the best use of my time. And 2 of them are still a really great use of my time, but they're not ingrained in me, their work.
Yep.
So then for the next 90 days, I've got the one that's ingrained, that's moved on because it's just part of me. I've got the 2 that really, that are still work, but are still really great. And then I find 3 more things and I roll and I do those for 90 days. And if we all just do that consistently, it changes your life. And what you can do in our world. You can help 5 more families a month, 60 more loans a year.
Yep.
That's a lot, a ton more families, 60 more families, a lot more lives that you're impacting. And that's a pretty different change in your pocketbook when we can do that. And so,
that's life changing all around.
Yeah.
That's a win-win-win for everyone.
So that's what I would tell somebody.
I love that. Thank you so much for that. You're so cool. I am so happy to know you. And I will say this, and I've said it time and time again. You guys even have my testimonial on the website. I have been throughout my career in mortgage banking, which is it's a double digit number with a 3 in the beginning of it, and it's close to a 4. I am almost 40 years in this business, and I've been through every possible coaching program out there. I have done them all. We won't name them, but I know every single one of those people in all those coaching programs. And Next Level Loan Officer is just the best. I love the way that y'all have it structured. I love the way that you guys, like, you're on the front lines with us. Yeah, you might not take loan applications anymore, but you are still on the front lines with us, all 4 of y'all, and know what the pain points that we have. You feel our pain. And a lot of the coaching programs out there are people that haven't done a loan since 1985
or ever.
Yeah. And that person does not know my pain that I go through every day to get to where, my clients need to go. So that's what I love about Next Level is you guys are in the trenches with me and with us. And it's just very real and very cool. So bless you. And thank you for that. So I will promote and sell Next Level Loan Officer all day long.
Thank you very much, Jill.
You guys are awesome. All right. So I will see you in Fort Worth in a couple of days.
I will see you then. Bye, y'all.
All right. Thanks again, Sean Zalmanoff. Oh, wait a minute. Where can everybody find you? And follow you and socials and all that good stuff.
I kind of gave up social media about a year ago. I'm on there, but I don't really check it.
It warms my heart to hear you say that. It makes me feel so much better about myself to hear you say that.
But if you want to find out about Next Level, you can go to become nl.com and you'll see me on there, and you can reach out or email me or email anyone there. And of course, you can check out USA Mortgage and find me there as well.
There it is.
If you just Google Sean Z, there's not that many of me out there. So, yeah.
I love it. Well, you're the best. Thank you. Thank you so much for being on with me today. Everybody follow Sean Z. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you very, very much. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Bye.